If you were growing up in the 90s and were a fan of anything related to Muppets, chances are you may have seen a familiar logo on several Muppet-themed VHS tapes. For the logo I'm talking about is Jim Henson Productions. For summary, this logo features a blue welding laser that forms the head of Kermit the Frog, and then it shows a little flying thing, possibly a lightning bug, as it forms the words Jim Henson Productions. I remember seeing that logo on my tapes of Billy Bunny's Animal Songs, the Muppet Movie, and Muppet Sing-Along songs, Things That Fly. I was a bit scared of this logo when I was little, probably because the logo being in the background and the noises of the laser. But what I'm here to talk about today is a version of this logo that has never been seen before, and one that actually traumatizes me to this day. It all started on a day as of March of 2025. I had just gotten out of my local Regal theater after seeing The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. I thought it was pretty good in my opinion. I walked down to Goodwill to see if they had any good VHS tapes or DVDs. I spent a few minutes browsing up until I spotted a tape I used to have during my childhood. It was a VHS of Billy Bunny's Animal Songs, a tape which we would watch all the time when I was little. I bought the tape for approximately 99 cents, and then I called for my mother for a ride home. When I got home, I took the tape over to my shed and inserted the tape into my TV with a built-in VCR. The opening previews were overall normal, but then everything started to go downhill right after the Alvin and the Chipmunks sing-along trailer. The first change was the feature program bumper. The background was red instead of the usual green, with the text was rather black instead of white. Also, there was music, but it didn't sound like the last few seconds of the credits to Muppet Babies. Instead, it was the sound of wind blowing in a very chilly, low-pitched organ tune. It started to disturb me dearly because I thought there was something wrong with my tape. I bought it. It was like this for 7 seconds. Then the announcer came in and it sounded like he was really scared that something was weighing on his tape. And now, our future program! The announcer screams worriedly. For your information, the announcer screamed right after the words, future program. The screen faded to black, and now here's where it gets progressively more disturbing. The Jim Henson Productions logo came in, but the laser was red instead of blue, and the laser was way louder than the original, almost as if my TV speakers were at full volume. Also, the music was also in an organ tune instead of the usual orchestra. And then the head of Kermit the Frog came out, but man, he looked terrifying. First of all, his head was red, his eyes were black instead of white, and his pupils were red instead of black. And lastly, he had 2 sharp teeth like a vampire. Somehow, the music stopped, and it just happened to stay on the shot of Kermit for an extremely uncomfortable period of time. Just then, when the sound of the wind from that feature program bumper returned, and somehow Kermit's mouth began moving, making me more scared than I already was. Kermit then proceeded to speak in a very demonic voice. Why are you watching this tape? Now I'm going to give you something that will make you regret ever buying this tape. The head of Kermit the Frog then disappeared, and then what happened next actually made me regret buying this tape. It cut to a shot of the sunny field, which had never happened in the original Jim Henson Productions logo. It was like this for 5 seconds, before the camera started to turn around to another part of the field. All of a sudden, Sweet Tums, one of the Muppet characters, started running up to the screen, but he was completely messed up. His skin was black instead of the usual gray, and his eyes were bleeding just like Kermit's. While he was running, I was hearing the sound of a woman's loud screaming coming in. This caused me to scream like a little girl because I tended to have a reaction for something as running up towards me. Sweet Tums' jump scare was apparently seizure-inducing, which caused me to lose my eyes because of the lights were flashing, and I didn't want to risk getting a seizure. As I was seeing this videotape, it felt like I had slept through the movie I was seeing in the theater, and then I was having a nightmare while I was at it. After a horrific jump scares, I opened up my eyes and the rest of the logo was playing completely normal, but I couldn't take it anymore. I rewound the tape so I could figure out how to record this with my cell phone so I can show a Discord server I was in this horrifying atrocity of the future. Once I finished recording, I took the tape out, grabbed my uncle's hammer, and smashed the tape into bits. After that, I took the pieces of the remains of the tape and threw it in the garbage. Later that night, I was too traumatized to sleep because I was worried that I would have that nightmare about that cursed logo again. I unfortunately fell asleep and had a nightmare. However, this nightmare was a lot different. This dream involved me in the exact same Goodwill store where I bought the Silly Billy Bunny VHS tape. When I picked it up at the tape at Goodwill, an employee appeared in front of me and said, Sir, I would not buy that tape if I were you. It's got a scary logo." I ignored his warning and proceeded to buy the tape. But then when I walked out, I saw the exact same Sweet Tums creature from the tape logo running towards me. In a panic, I woke up, but then I decided to go back to sleep, thinking that I would have a different dream. I did have another dream that was different, but I can't remember what happened. When I woke up the next morning, the first thing I did on my cell phone was write an email to the Jim Henson Company because I feel like they were the ones who could be able to solve this case with the cursed Jim Henson Productions logo. I also attached the MP4 file for evidence. While I was in church, my phone buzzed, and I just so happened to receive a reply from Brian Henson himself. He said that the man who was working for Jim Henson Productions logo at the time made the alternative version of the logo as he wanted to use it for a Muppets Halloween special in the future. However, he was fired from the company after what he likely had made because they found it too horrifying. So yeah, that pretty much just wraps up the story. I'll always like the Muppets for as long as I will. It's best to stay away from the unusual tapes, or just report them.
What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here. I want to appreciate you all for tuning into this video, and I do appreciate you guys supporting my video by giving this video likes and stuff. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you're new, ring the bell for notifications to when I upload so that way you guys will get updated for whenever I upload. If you want to follow me on Twitter or DeviantArt, feel free to leave a follow on those if you are interested in following me on those socials. If you want to support my backup channel, known as Miss Dark Shigo, feel free to subscribe to it, as a link to that will also be in the About page section. And with that being said, and that being the case, thank you so much for watching, my pretties, and as always, please stay pretty.